famous entrepreneur Elon Musk owned company SpaceX just made a world record by launching 143 satellites on a single rocket named Falcon 9. The payload included satellites from the SpaceX company along with different business and government agencies. The program Transporter 1 was launched on Sunday, January 24th from Cape Canaveral, Florida. The satellites were launched into SSO, Sun Synchronous Orbit, which is located 500 kilometers above the surface of Earth. Initially, the launch was delayed for 24 hours due to bad weather conditions on January 23rd. However, the next day, the weather improved for launch at the Cape Canaveral Space Station in Florida. This launch marks history as SpaceX becomes the first company to send 143 satellites to space on a single rocket. This is considered one of the biggest milestones for SpaceX company. Previously, the PSLV, an Indian rocket, held the record for sending the most number of satellites to space. They launched 104 satellites on a single rocket back in 2017. How much did it cost? This project, Rideshare, of SpaceX was launched back in 2018 when it took 64 satellites on board to space. But now, the company has expanded the launch opportunity to everyone. The cost? $1 million just to place a satellite weighing 200 kilograms on the Transporter 1. If the satellite is more than the required weight, the company charges another $5,000 for every kilogram that is added to the total weight. This rate has allowed smaller satellites like Rocket Lab's Electron, Virgin Orbit Services to book a seat in the rocket and take a trip to space. The CEO of SpaceX also said that he is very excited about giving many small satellites a chance to travel space at a low cost. Satellites on board. In total, there were 143 satellites on board, and out of the 36 satellites were owned by a company, Planet Labs. At the same time, 20 belonged to Exolaunch, while 10 of them were owned by SpaceX themselves. D-Orbit owned 20, The Player 12, Spaceflight 14, NanoRacks 9, NASA 3, and Capella 2. These all take the rally up to 143 satellites. Purpose of SpaceX launch. The purpose of SpaceX launch is to launch more than 12,000 satellites to space to provide low-cost internet to everyone, even in remote locations. This initial plan was announced 6 years ago in 2015. Elon Musk developed this mission to participate in the $1 trillion worldwide internet connectivity market to achieve his version of building a colony on Mars. Currently, more than 3,000 satellites are orbiting the Earth, including the 143 satellites launched a few days ago. The work on the plan of SpaceX started on the 23rd of May 2019, when 60 Starlink satellites were launched into space through Falcon 9 rockets. The mission was a success as the satellites reached the required altitude of 340 miles. The second batch of satellites took their journey to space in November of 2019, while the third one went to space in January of 2020. And this latest launch makes it the fourth and the latest batch of Starlink satellites to travel space. This was the first launch in the Rideshares program, which is designed to launch small satellites at a small cost. After the launch, SpaceX believes that its users can see huge change in data speed. It can vary from 50 to 150 megabytes per second, whereas the latencies can vary 20 to 40 milliseconds in most of the areas in the upcoming months. The company also states that there might be times when there will be no connectivity at all, but as they are launching new satellites and improving the space stations, the speed will increase as well. Now, the company has started to work with different organizations and space companies to send satellites to space along with the continued deployment of Starlink satellites in orbit. This could boost up the price of the company in the market by a huge margin. Concerns about the SpaceX Starlink project. There will be many concerns related to the SpaceX project because almost 3,000 satellites are orbiting the Earth, which increases the probability of space satellites colliding with each other. The issue of space debris is also faced by the International Space Station. SpaceX does not have countermeasures to fight those problems, as one of the main aims of the company is to keep the space clean. The company has a policy that said in the event when the propulsion systems become inoperable, the satellites will destroy themselves in Earth's atmosphere gradually in 1 to 5 years. Also, for this very specific reason, the life of Starlink is made for around 4 years. What could this launch mean for the future? There are more than 1,000 Starlink satellites launched by SpaceX, and now they are only planning to deploy more than 1,600 satellites for the internet in the United States alone. It is estimated that these numbers could go up, as there will be 370 small satellites deployed into space by the end of every year, which could take the yearly market up to $1.6 billion. And it is indicated that over the next 20 years, these numbers could touch the mark of $25 billion. This shows that the activities in space substantially have increased in the past few years. As for future projects, SpaceX is also working with NASA to build a machine that can help satellites repair other spacecrafts present in the Earth's orbit. Furthermore, after launching the Starlink satellites, the company is planning on a crewed mission to Mars in 2026, which could mean one of the biggest evolutions in the history of mankind. The future of space exploration and colonization of planets does not seem so far for humanity when big players like Elon Musk are leading one of the biggest expeditions the world has seen. What do you guys think of the current satellite projects? Does it concern you or excite you? And where do you think humanity 10 years from now could be at in the innovation and future of space and technology? Subscribe today at Think Big Tech for more content into future innovations and technologies.